Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are taking aim at something I think many of us in tech find, well, pretty frustrating sometimes, the traditional product roadmap.
Ah, yes, the roadmap.
Yeah, exactly. If you've ever had that feeling, where your team is just sprinting, pushing features out,
Mm-hmm.
but hitting targets that don't really seem to move the needle, this deep dive is definitely for you.
Right.
We're exploring this really fundamental shift, moving away from what people call feature-based
The
roadmaps.
laundry list.
Right, towards something much more strategic, the outcome-based roadmap, or OBR.
That's it.
The classic problem we see highlighted everywhere is that fixation on just like a list of things to build.
And the deadlines. Don't forget the fixed timelines.
Oh, absolutely. And that approach, it almost guarantees you can't adapt, right? And worse, it kind of steers you straight into that dreaded feature factory.
Yeah, where success is just measured by how much you shipped, not whether it actually did anything useful.
Exactly. Output over impact.
And that's precisely it. If the conversation in your planning meetings always starts with, okay, what feature are we shipping next month? Instead of what measurable business result, what change in customer behavior are we trying to achieve, then you're stuck focusing on output.
You're in the factory.
You're in the factory. So our mission here is to really understand how these outcome-based roadmaps flip that completely. They prioritize concrete, measurable results first and foremost. It's not just, a different template for your spreadsheet.
Right.
It's more like an agile, lean realignment of your whole strategic thinking.
And that flip, that inversion, that's the core idea, isn't it? We stop asking what to build first. Like, we need to add a new login feature.
Yeah.
And we start with the why, and importantly, the quantifiable impact. So the question becomes,
How do we get a 15% lift in user retention this quarter?
exactly. And maybe that login feature is part of the how. Maybe it's one possible initiative.
Right, it's a hypothesis.
But the retention goal, that's the non-negotiable. That's the mandate.
Okay, so maybe we should start with the structure, the architecture of an OBR. Because seeing the components really shows how different it is from the old ways.
Good idea. Let's break it down.
It's essentially built on 4 key pillars. First, you always start at the highest level, your high-level goals.
Big picture stuff.
Exactly. Broad strategic aims, things like, expanding into a new market segment or maybe improving operational efficiency across the board.
Okay.
Second, and this is really the defining piece of the OBR measurable outcomes.
The quantifiable bit you mentioned.
Absolutely critical. These have to be specific, quantifiable results. We're talking things like reduce churn rate among our power users by 10% in Q4.
Very specific.
Or boost our trial to paid conversion rate up to 12%. If it's fuzzy or vague, it just doesn't work here. It has to be measurable.
Right, so those are the targets. That's the destination, the North Star everyone's aiming for. But okay, that brings up the tricky part for the teams doing the work. If the outcome is fixed, but how you get there isn't, how do you actually manage the day-to-day work, the building?
That's the third pillar. The initiatives or solutions. And this is where the flexibility comes in. These are the features, the experiments, the projects, maybe even process changes that your team hypothesizes might lead to hitting that measurable outcome.
So they're guesses, essentially. Educated guesses.
Educated guesses, hypotheses, potential paths. They're absolutely not fixed mandates. If initiative isn't working, if the data shows it's not driving the outcome,
You drop it.
you drop it or pivot. You don't keep pushing just because it was on the plan. The outcome is the commitment, not the initiative.
Okay, and the fourth pillar.
The final piece is the metrics and milestones. These are the specific KPIs you use to track progress towards the outcome and how well the initiatives themselves are doing. Are people using the new feature? Is the A/B test showing a lift?
Got it. So that flexibility you mentioned, that's the huge difference compared to the old rigid models. A traditional feature-based roadmap is just inherently prescriptive. It's a list. And that's what traps teams, right? In that feature factory.
Yeah, you end up building things just because they were promised 3 months ago on some Gantt chart.
Even if you've since learned they won't actually solve the customer's problem or hit the business goal.
Precisely. The OBR forces you to constantly ask, is this initiative actually getting us closer to the outcome we committed to?
And it also breaks away from those rigid timeline-based roadmaps, too, the ones obsessed with hitting specific dates months out.
Oh, definitely. An OBR typically uses much more flexible time horizons, maybe broad quarters like Q2 or H2.
Or those now, next, later buckets you see sometimes.
Exactly. Now, next, later is very common. It gives teams the breathing room, the sort of permission structure to experiment, to maybe fail fast on an idea,
Learn quickly.
learn quickly, and then pivot their tactics without derailing the entire strategic plan or causing a massive panic upstream.
I like that idea of the outcome being the North Star. It's a good visual because it means the team can and should adjust the path they're taking, the features, the experiments.
Based on real data, real feedback.
Right, while staying absolutely locked on that final destination, the outcome.
It connects the strategy, the high-level goals, directly to the execution, the day-to-day work, almost seamlessly.
Makes sense.
And that impact-driven focus is why OBRs align so beautifully with other frameworks like OKR's objectives and key results.
Ah, yeah. Good point.
Because both are fundamentally about connecting those big strategic objectives down to measurable results that teams can actually own and influence.
Okay, so the structure makes sense, the philosophy makes sense, but let's talk payoffs. Because honestly, shifting to this sounds like it could be a fair bit of organizational heavy lifting.
It can be initially.
So for the companies that make this switch, why is it worth the effort? The sources really seem to emphasize strategic alignment.
Oh, it's massive, absolutely crucial. When every single initiative, every feature, every experiment has to be explicitly tied back to a quantifiable business or customer outcome.
You stop wasting time.
You eliminate so much wasted effort. And think about what wasted effort really means. It's not just developer time.
It's opportunity cost.
Exactly. It's 2 months of your best engineers building something nobody wants, when they could have been tackling critical tech debt or fixing a major user pain point or building something truly innovative.
Right.
OBRs force teams to see how their daily work connects to the bigger corporate picture. It dramatically boosts the potential ROI of everything you build.
And in today's market, things change so fast that flexibility and adaptability seems less like a nice to have and more like survival.
It really is. If a competitor suddenly launches something disruptive, or new customer research completely invalidates one of your key assumptions, an OBR gives the team the green light, the authority, to change course on the solution immediately. They don't have to wait weeks for some formal change request process just because a feature was on the old roadmap.
So it fosters more creativity, too, because the team isn't just executing a predefined list.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're judged on achieving the outcome, not just checking boxes. So they're incentivized to find the best solution, which might be something completely unexpected.
And it feels inherently more customer-centric. I remember working on a project years ago. We spent maybe 6 months building this really complex feature, met all the requirements, looked great on paper, launch day comes. Crickets, nobody used it.
Oof, been there.
Classic feature factory mistake. By forcing you to prioritize genuine user problems or opportunities, the things that drive the outcomes, you naturally build things people actually want and need.
Which directly leads to higher satisfaction, better retention, more loyalty, all the good stuff.
Yeah.
And underpinning all of this is accountability. Because the outcomes are measurable, success isn't subjective anymore.
Right. Did we hit the number or not?
Exactly. Did we reduce churn by 10%? Did we increase conversion to 12%? Those clear metrics support continuous improvement. It helps shift the whole organization from being reactive, just fixing bugs, building the next shiny thing,
Chasing competitors.
to being proactive, driving a value-oriented strategy based on real results.
And operationally, I saw mentions that OBRs also really boost cross-functional collaboration. Makes sense, right?
It does, because achieving a meaningful outcome like increasing revenue or boosting user engagement rarely sits solely within engineering or product.
You need sales, marketing, support.
Everyone. You need their input early in the planning to understand the problem fully and brainstorm potential solutions. It naturally breaks down those silos.
Plus, that intense focus on the outcome helps avoid feature creep, doesn't it?
Big time. Because every proposed addition, every nice to have, has to answer the question, how does this specifically help us achieve outcome X? If it doesn't have a strong answer.
It doesn't get built. You save those precious resources.
Exactly.
Okay, this all sounds great in theory. Let's really unpack the how. How do you actually build one of these? Where do teams typically, stumble when they try to make this shift?
Good question. The stumbles often happen right at the beginning, in the first couple of steps, if they're not done well. Step 1 is all about defining the vision and goals. You have to start with the high-level organizational why.
Like that become the leading platform example.
Precisely. articulate that long-term vision. And often you'll use executive-level frameworks, maybe OKRs, to set those overarching business objectives for the year or the next few years.
Okay, set the big direction.
Then comes step 2, and this is absolutely critical, translating those broad goals into those measurable outcomes we talked about.
Making them specific and quantifiable.
Yes. You cannot leave goals vague like improve user satisfaction. That's useless for a roadmap. It has to become something concrete.
Like the NPS example.
Exactly. Turn improve satisfaction into increase our net promoter score from its current 40 up to 55 by the end of the year. It needs to be smart specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Get this step wrong and the whole thing falls apart.
Okay, but let's be real for a second. In many companies, you still have leadership who maybe wants that specific feature, the add this button request delivered next Tuesday.
The Hippio effect, highest paid person's opinion.
Yeah. How do you sell them on this outcome-based approach, which seems to require more patience, more iteration, maybe less certainty about what exactly gets built when?
You sell them on the results.
Yeah.
You sell them on the reduced risk and the potentially higher ROI. You frame it as, we are committing to delivering this specific business outcome, the 15% retention lift, the 10% churn reduction.
Focus on the result they care about.
Exactly. Once we agree on that measurable outcome, our team's job is to find the fastest, cheapest, most effective way to hit that target. We'll use data to guide us. It shifts the conversation from dictating solutions to agreeing on problems worth solving.
Okay, so outcome agreed upon, then what?
Then you move into steps 3 and 4, gathering insights and prioritizing initiatives. This is where the research happens.
Digging into data.
Absolutely. Funnel analysis, customer interviews, support tickets, session recordings, market research. You need objective data. And yes, you should probably centralize incoming feature requests.
But don't just treat them as a to-do list.
Never. Treat them purely as inputs, of potential ideas, signals about problems, data points that inform your hypotheses about what might achieve the outcome. They are not mandates.
Okay, so you have your outcome, you have a pile of insights and potential ideas. How do you choose which solutions or initiatives to actually work on first? We see all these acronyms thrown around: RICE, ICE, MORE, AIR.
Yeah, there are several prioritization frameworks. RICE is popular, helps you balance the potential reach, impact, your confidence in the estimate, and the effort required. ICE is similar, simpler.
Which one works best for this outcome-focused approach?
They all have their place. But the key is moving beyond just a simple score. You need to constantly link back to the outcome. For a truly outcome-driven team, I find frameworks like MORE metrics over available resources can be really powerful.
MORE. Tell me more about that one.
It's less common, but it forces a slightly different question. Instead of just asking, is this feature high impact? MORE pushes you to ask, relative to the engineering time or resources this will consume, does this specific initiative offer the maximum potential movement towards our target outcome?
So it's about efficiency. Bang for your buck towards the goal.
Exactly. It keeps you really honest about resource allocation.
Yeah.
Are we spending our limited developer weeks on the thing most likely to move that key metric?
Yeah.
It ensures you're prioritizing based purely on driving those measurable results.
That's a subtle but really important distinction. Okay, so initiatives are prioritized. How do you then visualize this and keep it, alive, not just a static document?
That brings us to step 5, mapping it out, and crucially, step 6, iteration and feedback loops. For visualizing, you use those flexible formats we mentioned, maybe timelines showing rough quarters or the now, next, later buckets. But the critical part is step 6. You absolutely must implement rigorous feedback loops.
Checking the data constantly.
Constantly. Monitor progress towards the outcome with regular reviews weekly, bi-weekly. And here's the key discipline. You must be willing to pivot or even kill an initiative if the data shows it's not working, if it's not moving the needle on the outcome.
Stop doing it.
Stop doing it. Learn why and try something else. That's what makes it a living document, not a static plan locked in time.
That makes the whole process feel much more like scientific experimentation, less like just executing orders.
It is. You have a hypothesis, the initiative.
Yeah.
You run the experiment, build test it. You measure the results, track the outcome metric, and you adapt based on the findings.
Let's make that pivot scenario really concrete. You mentioned a hierarchy example earlier. Strategic goal, enhance security.
Right. And the specific measurable outcome is reduce successful data breaches by 20% this year.
Okay. And the team's first hypothesis, their first initiative, is to roll out multi-factor authentication. MFA.
Correct. So they start building and rolling out MFA. But let's say after 6 or 8 weeks, they look at the data. MFA adoption among users is lower than expected, and their security monitoring shows it's only contributed to maybe a 5% reduction in breach attempts so far.
Not hitting the 20% target pace.
Nowhere near it.
Oh.
Because the outcome is the North Star, the team doesn't just stubbornly push ahead to finish the MFA rollout because it was on the roadmap.
What do?
They pause. They assess the data. Why is adoption low? Is MFA the highest leverage thing they could be doing right now? Maybe they realize that implementing better encryption for stored user data is actually a faster path to that 20% reduction.
So they pivot.
They pivot. They shift resources away from pushing MFA adoption and towards the encryption initiative, because that now looks like the better bet for hitting the committed outcome. The 20% goal is what matters, not the MFA feature itself.
That ability to pivot based on data feels like the superpower here.
It absolutely is. Okay, so for listeners wanting to implement OBRs, let's maybe list some key best practices, things to really nail.
Yeah, good idea. What are the non-negotiables?
First, based on everything we've seen, you have to prioritize ruthlessly. Don't try to chase 10 outcomes at once.
Focus is key.
Focus is critical. Aim for maybe just 3 to 5 key outcomes per planning period, like a quarter or half year. This specific range comes up a lot in the research. It prevents cognitive overload and stops the organization from spreading itself too thin.
Right, concentrate your firepower. What else?
Second, use data religiously. Gut feelings and opinions have their place in brainstorming, but decisions about what initiatives to pursue, continue, or kill must be grounded in customer feedback and analytics. No data, no decision.
Makes sense.
Third, consciously balance short and long-term goals. It's easy to get consumed by immediate revenue targets or urgent fixes.
The tyranny of the urgent.
Exactly. Good OBR practice often involves deliberately allocating resources, maybe, say, 50% to initiatives driving near-term goals, but reserving the other 50% for foundational improvements or future innovation that enables longer-term outcomes.
Strategic allocation.
And finally, you absolutely need leadership buy-in. We touched on this, but it's vital. And involve diverse teams, sales, support, marketing, engineering early and often. Their different perspectives provide much richer insights for identifying the right outcomes and potential solutions.
Okay, those are the things to do right. What about the traps, the common pitfalls that derail teams trying to use OBRs?
Oh, there are definitely common ways this goes wrong. The number one easiest trap is using vague outcomes.
Back to the SMART criteria.
Exactly. If your outcome is something like improve platform stability or increase user delight, how do you measure that? How do you know if you've succeeded? If it's not truly specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound, your roadmap is built on shaky ground.
It collapses back into subjectivity.
It does. Another huge danger is the constant gravitational pullback towards feature bias.
Slipping back into the factory mindset.
Yep. Teams start focusing on shipping the initiative, ticking the box, rather than obsessing over whether that initiative is actually moving the outcome metric. You have to constantly, consciously audit yourselves. Is this feature really driving the outcome we committed to? If you stop asking that,
You're just building features again.
you're just building features. Third pitfall, siloed creation. If product managers or leaders create the OBR in isolation without deeply involving engineering, sales, marketing, support,
It won't stick.
it won't stick. You'll get misalignment, lack of buy-in, maybe even resistance during execution because people don't understand the why or feel ownership.
And practically,
Practically speaking, don't ignore dependencies, especially in larger organizations.
Yeah.
Map out those technical or organizational dependencies early. If initiative A needs platform team B to deliver something first, that needs to be visible and planned for. Otherwise, your outcome timeline is fantasy.
good point. What about tools? Don't need fancy software for this?
Tools can definitely help, especially with visualization and tracking. There's dedicated roadmap software like Product Board, AHA, RoadMonk. They're often designed around this outcome-oriented hierarchy.
But they're not magic bullets.
Absolutely not. The tool is useless, maybe even counterproductive, if you don't have strong analytics integrations.
Yeah.
You need to feed it real data from Mixpanel, Google Analytics, your internal BI systems, whatever you use to actually track if you're hitting those outcome KPIs.
So the technology has to serve the strategy, the process, not the other way around.
Precisely. The mindset and the process come first. The tool supports it. So to kind of synthesize all this, outcome-based roadmaps at their core are about empowering teams, empowering them to deliver meaningful, measurable impact, especially when the market is uncertain or changing fast.
Yeah.
By relentlessly forcing that focus on results over just activity, over outputs, they naturally promote more agility, they encourage better collaboration across silos, and ultimately, they help accelerate real value creation for the business and the customer.
It sounds like a much more intelligent way to work, honestly. So for listeners who are intrigued by this, what's a practical next step? Don't try to boil the ocean tomorrow.
Definitely not. Don't attempt a massive company-wide overhaul overnight. That's a recipe for failure.
Start small.
Start small. Pilot the OBR approach. Maybe pick just one team or one major strategic goal for the next quarter.
Try it out.
Try it out. Go through the process. Define the measurable outcome. Brainstorm initiatives. Prioritize using data. Track progress rigorously. Measure the difference. Does the team feel more aligned? Are conversations more focused on impact? Are stakeholders clearer on the goal?
Learn from that pilot.
Learn from it, adapt the process for your context, and then scale it gradually as the organization gains confidence and, crucially, start seeing the positive results.
That sounds achievable.
And maybe here's the provocative thought to leave you with, sort of tying it all together.
Okay.
If your traditional roadmap mainly tells you what you built last quarter, how quickly and how accurately can you actually measure the value, the outcome that those things delivered?
That's a tough question for many teams.
It often is. And whatever that measurement tells you, or perhaps what the lack of easy measurement tells you, what does that imply about where you should focus your efforts next? And maybe, just maybe, where you should stop building altogether. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and share it, with others who might benefit too. To learn more about product management and digital marketing, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update.